I don't like when people discredit the B&G workers, because guess what? Prosecutors wouldn't be coming to work if B&G wasn't doing their job and cleaning pathways and so forth. Insignificant. They don't have the same degree as that. I understand that, but we'll have union negotiations with them coming up as well. Planning department as well, we got to pay them a fair amount. Like I said, it's a different job market now, and I hope the commissioners take that in consideration for the future.
Mr. President,
Sir.
I just want to emphasize the most important person who's watching, and that's the taxpayer. That's the taxpayer. And if you tell the taxpayer the county government is operating on a budget that reflects last year plus 2.5% to increase everyone's pay, I think that the average taxpayer would say, well, as a senior with all the expenses on me, with almost no adjustments on my fixed income, that sounds pretty good. I wish that I was getting the 2.5%. So I just want to be clear to everyone that ultimately each and every one of us, whether we're elected, appointed, or hired, we work for the taxpayer. That's the only reason any of us or any of these positions exist. We're not talking about cutting any department's budget. I think that's a wonderful place for us to be. But I think about that senior on a fixed income. I think about that family that's struggling. We need to remember that ultimately the most important person who is not in the room is the taxpayer. That's what every department serves and services. And if we make life unaffordable for them, all of us are irrelevant. None of these roles matter if we're not putting the taxpayer first. And I believe that we are. I believe that collectively we're coming together to do that. But as we talk about this and this and this and this and this and this and this need, remember, we only have purpose in serving the taxpayer. And some taxpayers would say, hey, if you have to cut the budget 5 or 10%, so be it. Not a problem for me. We're not talking about cutting the budget. There is no gloom and doom here in this building. We're talking about the worst case scenario, your department gets a 2.5% increase, and we're looking at strategic investments in other departments. So I just want to be clear, we're not oppressing or cutting the budget of any department here. We're talking about what increases we're going to give them. And I have to say, I think that taxpayers so often feel like they're being ignored in this process because they don't get those increases. They just have to make do. And given that we are their servants, not the other way around, I just feel like it has to be stated. You're right. We have to state the value of buildings and grounds, the value of the Planning Commission. I just want to make sure in that discussion we're not losing sight of our residents and taxpayers who are not getting any of this additional support. They're not going to get an automatic 2.5%. Many folks have lost their jobs. Layoffs are beginning. It's tough out there. The job market has been strong for a long time, but look at the frontline indicators. Some economists say we're already in a recession. Most say we're headed there. We've got to remember the taxpayer, and we have to make sure that one way or the other we keep things affordable for them. And when we just look at it from the perspective of, well, so-and-so got this much, I want that much, remember the senior on a fixed income who can't even afford to buy dog food.
Last time I checked, I'm on a fixed income as well. With that being said, like I said, I want to provide the best budget that you guys direct me to with the finite amount of resources that it is. Permanent improvement does not get replenished just because we want it to be. We made a strategic plan back in 2012 with the reduction of the inside millage and the increase of sales tax that Sheriff Dunlap and Mr. Zapanzik were the two elected officials in the front row that needed that. We also are losing various other people throughout the county. Like I said, I understand, but when people say about seniors on fixed income, I think almost everyone's on fixed income. Like I said, so inflation is affecting other, I'm not speaking on behalf of all the county employees that are not public safety. I'm just saying there comes a time when we had, well before you guys were here, when the sheriff deputies did get raises. They did take furloughs, but the county employees did go 4 years without a raise. So when I hear people about fixed incomes and so forth, I think we're on fixed incomes as well. We get paid bi-weekly, the same amount. Like I said, I want to try to provide, like I said, the best budget that you guys want at your direction. But I just wanted to emphasize that that's going to come up, and that's going to be a decision that the board's going to have to make in the future. So I understand your guys' direction with the public safety. I get it completely. I've worked with Chief Izzo probably the most out of any chief deputy since Sheriff Leon Bruno was the chief as well, and I've probably had more discussions with Mr. Colson over the last month and a half than I've ever had in my 17 years here. It is, we have to be conscious, like you said, of the taxpayer, of some unfunded or unnecessary general fund expenditures that may be able to be cut. You guys are the decision makers. Like I said, I'm only a recommender, so I will carry out the path that you guys lay down for me. But there is something that Joel's facing. I think Joel's not here, but just, the retainage of our quality staff. In Lake County, I think we have a great staff. Like I said, not saying prosecutor is very important, so is the deputy, but like I said, so is IT. So's the commissioner's office, to make sure we enter in all the agreements. There's been a lot of stuff that is now based on the individual departments taking on more responsibility, doing their own expensing and so forth. With that, you've heard a lot of people, a lot of departments saying, I think there'll be a request for increased staffing in the future. So just to let the commissioners know, I think that's coming. That's a hard decision for you guys, because people see what other people get. This is the real world. I mean, people see that. It's a problem that we're all facing, not just public safety. Like I said, right now I've told Chief Izzo and Sheriff Leon Bruno about 10 times. I personally don't know why anyone would want to go into law enforcement right now, seeing everything. They've heard me say that about 10 times, just with the reflection. When I was a kid, you see a cop, it's a good thing. Now it seems like it's a bad thing when you see a deputy coming, or a patrolman, or a local police officer. I know Mr. Gills, I worked with him with the road project over the last 5 years with that. I understand the need for public infrastructure. I know he has his own funding with that, but I have also heard the commissioners also say about economic development. So I think we got, I'll put before you the budget that I have been directed to, but there's going to be a lot of ask in the future that the commissioners are going to have to look at hard and long and make a decision based on that, just so.